All right, so let's get started. As promised, this will be a webinar on how to start generating or generate more quality leads and clients for your business using a innovative marketing strategy that does not require complex and expensive advertising campaigns. Now, I actually hesitated to put this training together because I didn't want to release yet another online marketing training, as I'm sure you've seen quite a few by now. But I had in person hundreds of conversations with business owners over the last few months, and I personally worked with many of them, and I genuinely felt that the right time had come to start sharing what I decided to call the LinkedIn hybrid strategy. Now, just a little bit about me. As promised, I'm really a get to the point kind of guy. I don't want to bore you with my life story. If you do want to know more about my life story, let's have a chat. And I'm open to tell you all about me if you're interested. But most of you are not going to be, and that's totally fine. My name is Patrizio Pizzuto. As you can probably tell, I'm originally from Italy, although I've spent, I would say, most of my adult life in London. UK. I started with online marketing over 5 years ago, and I started to really heavily focus on LinkedIn marketing for reasons that will become apparent in the training over the past 12 months or so. And over these past 5 years, I was able to generate about six figures in total online. Over the last 12 months, and I will say possibly for almost half of these 5 years, I really met and worked with hundreds of business owners, primarily in service based businesses. So that means accountants, consultants, real estate agents and brokers, insurance agents and brokers, and more in general, a mixed bag of business owners really around the world, from the States, Canada, Australia, UK, and Europe mostly. So, who is this for? I wanted to make this clear so that really make sure that you will be spending your time watching something that will be of value to you. As I mentioned, primarily I will say this is for service based business owners or partners, co founders who are looking to implement an efficient marketing strategy to drive qualified leads and clients to their business, or service based business owners or partners who are looking to implement an efficient marketing strategy to drive more qualified leads and clients to their business. You might already have something that's working very well, and you might want to, have more, which is totally fair. Truly, most business owners will benefit from this strategy, although it's proven to be particularly effective for service based businesses, like I mentioned, accountants, consultants, real estate agents and brokers, insurance agents and brokers, etc. etc. Now, this will also be valuable to you if you're a marketing executive within someone else's organization. So, if you're actually taking care and looking after someone else's marketing efforts. Now, I also wanted to clarify my goal for this presentation so that you know exactly what to expect. Over the next 60 minutes, I will show you what I consider to be the most efficient and cost-effective way to attract quality leads and clients to your business. I can confidently share this strategy now as it's been tested and refined over a period of more than 12 months in my own business, as well as many others that I've collaborated with, and I'll bring some examples throughout the training. In this training, I'll share with you three key insights that will surely be of great value to you, and I will then dive into the LinkedIn hybrid strategy in detail with a live demonstration. If by the end of the training you'd like to discuss in detail how this strategy could benefit your business specifically, of course, I'll give you the opportunity to book a private consultation with me completely free of charge so that we can actually discuss one-to-one more about the details and the specifics of how the strategy could work for you. So you might be wondering, why should I even invest my time watching this webinar? I got so many things to do, I've got a business to run, so what's in it for me? Well, whether you are at a stage where you don't have a efficient marketing strategy to attract new clients consistently, or you are looking to grow and attract more clients, I genuinely believe that LinkedIn, as of now, 2021, is the ideal platform to start attracting new clients for your business. Whether you choose to follow my strategy exactly as it is or adapt it to suit your needs. So let's start by looking at the alternatives. So, what other strategies or methods could you possibly leverage, or you might already be leveraging to attract leads and clients to your business? So let's start with the old school, quote unquote, strategies: referrals, cold calling, door knocking, offline ads. Most of you might, if you had your business for a while, possibly for more than a decade, you probably have used one or more of these strategies to build your business, and that's great. So let's look specifically at the pros and the cons, and why right now you might want to start looking elsewhere as well. So the pros of these strategies is that, clearly they're quite simple to implement. I mean, referrals: someone calls you up, someone sends you an email, or you meet at lunch. Maybe not so much right now, but someone gets referred to you by someone else who might be a past client or an existing client or a friend. It's quite a simple way of starting a relationship that might lead to this person doing business with you. Cold calling, once again, requires a little bit more technology. You need to have the ability to call people, but ultimately it's not too hard to find phone numbers and calling them up. Door knocking, once again, very simple. And offline ads, once again, it might be the most advanced of these strategies, but ultimately you can always pay to have your business advertised somewhere, on a billboard, on a bus, or a radio station possibly. So these strategies are simple to implement, and this is why a lot of business owners have been relying on them, especially if they had been running their business for a while. Now, the cons of these kind of strategies is that they're really not efficient. You cannot really multiply or scale your efforts unless you start hiring people. So with cold calling or door knocking, you can hire a team of people to do that. But people, by their very nature, are not efficient. So for every new person that you're going to hire to sort of solve a problem, it will create another problem to some extent. And of course, this is just a generalization. I'm not saying that it cannot be done, but I want to help you start exploring potentially ways that are more efficient than just hiring more people. So as I said, this might also lead to the second problem, which is that these strategies might be hard to scale. They're time consuming, and primarily, one of the reasons why I wanted to share this with you is because truly, especially after COVID, these strategies are becoming less and less effective as the customer's digital behavior evolves. Okay, and to really bring this point home, I actually wanted to share a 60-second clip by Gary Vaynerchuk. If you don't know about Gary, also known as Gary V, he is possibly right now the number one marketing expert in the world. So let me just play you this short video that I think will really help me, as I said, bring this point home when it comes to relying solely on old school strategies.
Watch this. I'm going to show you something really fascinating. Do me a favor, Web Summit. I want you to stand up if the following statement is true. How many people here now actually get upset when another human being calls them? Stand up. I'm gonna wait. These are human beings that actually get upset when another person calls them the main way we rolled just 5 or 6 years ago. Let's clap it up for these pioneers. I'm clapping because what these people have innately felt and understood is the emergence of the most important asset in our new ecosystem, along with the health of our family, money, our religion, and the health, which is time. The reason those people stood up and were mad that somebody called them is because we have technology now that allows us to actually text somebody and I'll call you back on my time, don't call me on your time. And so, we as business people in corporate America need to wrap our head around one very big truth. The day of advertising, stealing somebody's time is over.
So I hope, that was insightful, and I wanted to highlight, what he said at the very end of the video, that as business people, we need to wrap our head around one very big truth, which is that the day of advertising stealing somebody's time is over. And I also want to point out that Gary said this back in 2016, so 5 years ago now. And in the video, he said that this trend really started to change over the last 5 years in 2016. So it's really something that has started to change dramatically over the last decade. Okay, less and less people will be willing to talk to you, listen to you, even engage with you if you're trying to steal their time through, for example, cold calling, door knocking, and these kind of old school strategies that a lot of businesses have been relying on for quite some time. So that's one of the alternatives. And then the second sort of big umbrella of strategies that you might leverage is what we call free advertising. So this might include blogging, having a website when you write articles that, might be of value to your audience. Social media posts are very much a evolution of blogging, sending out cold emails. Okay, this is usually what we refer to when we talk about free advertising, although it might actually not be 100% free all the time. And truly the pros and the cons are very similar to the old school strategies. So you have strategies that are simple to implement, but they're usually not efficient, they're hard to scale, and they are time consuming. And usually the only solution you have to actually get more out of these strategies is to start hiring people, to write for you and post for you, or, send emails on your behalf, etc., which is not necessarily a bad thing. But once again, it makes it harder for you to really scale exponentially. So let's look lastly at paid advertising, which is the last kind of alternative out there. And this really includes nowadays, more often than not, either Facebook ads, and Facebook ads include Instagram ads, Google ads, YouTube ads, solo ads, banner ads. I mean, you get the gist. This is almost like the opposite when it comes to pros and cons. These are very efficient strategies. You can really scale exponentially. There's no limit to how much you can invest in paid advertising. Now, the cons are that these are complex platforms to operate. It's unlikely for most business owners, unless you're very keen to learn it for yourself, to have the time and the headspace to become, a Facebook ad or a Google ad or a YouTube ad ninja. Usually people that are very good at these strategies, they do that as their business. So these are complex, expensive, of course, relatively. If you do get a return, it makes it not expensive, but you might need to invest an amount, a budget, before seeing some returns. And that is not quite something that all businesses will be able to afford, or some, might not just be willing to take that risk. Now, additionally to this, in my experience with paid advertising, it can also be hard to understand really what's working or even what's going on And what I mean by that is that as you advertise, you create an ad, let's say on Google, and someone clicks on your ad on Google, and they get taken to a page, and they enter their information, but then they might just do that and nothing else. And you don't quite know whether they stop taking action and following up with you because of reason number one, or reason number two, or reason number three. Like, it's very hard to tell what's happening in their minds as they take these actions. And that makes it hard for you, or even for your marketing executive, to really understand what is it that is working about this campaign, what is it that's not working about this campaign. So just a quick recap. As I mentioned, I wanted to look at the alternatives before diving into the strategy that I'm going to share with you. So we've got old school strategies, and the pros are that, they're simple to implement, but they've got some cons, like they're not very efficient, they might be hard to scale, they're time consuming, and they're becoming less and less effective because of the reasons that Gary Vee explained very well in his keynote. Free advertising, and this obviously refers to digital advertising like blogging, posting on social media, etc. The pros and the cons are very similar to the old school strategies. And then finally, paid advertising, it's almost reversed. So they can be very efficient, you can scale a lot, but they are complex, they are expensive, at least before you become profitable, and it's hard to understand what's working or not working. So the LinkedIn hybrid strategy that I'll share with you really combines the best of both worlds, as it is, on one hand, simple and cheap, not free, but cheap to implement, but also it has the potential to be optimized and scaled. So, as promised, I'm actually gonna share 3 insights, and the third insight will actually lead us into the strategy. And the reason why I wanted to share these insights before diving into the strategy is because the insights are sort of the principles that the strategy is based on. So if I didn't share these insights, it would be hard to understand, how the strategy really works. So insight number 1, very, very important. And this is something that I can personally see a lot of business owners, especially those that have been in business for quite some time, are struggling to realize and really wake up to. And here's the first insight. Most business owners are stuck in an old paradigm where they believe that there is a limited number of people that they can do business with. In truth, your business is not and should not be limited to your location, your existing network, or your existing client base. And these are usually the 3 main limitations that I see most businesses use unconsciously, perhaps, to limit the scope of their business and therefore their growth. So, to make it super simple, this is how I see it. Most businesses look at their audience, as a limited audience. Like, let's say an accountant might look at his audience as, there are, choosing a random number here, let's say there are 1,000 businesses in my area, therefore that's my audience. And I can only hope to work with 1% of 1,000, therefore I might be working with 10 businesses for, the whole of 2021 or something like that. So they limit, their understanding of what a group of people that they could possibly do business with actually is. So what I'm proposing is that your business should adopt a new paradigm and systematically tap into a much bigger audience. So much bigger that I like to refer to it as infinite audience. And just stick with me here. So this is what I'm referring to. Your business is actually interacting almost every day, especially nowadays that we are online, with a an accountant, once again, that works with small businesses that have just started out. Perhaps they're within their first year. Well, every day potentially there is a new business starting out. So if yesterday there were, let's assume, 1,000 potential people to work with, tomorrow there might be 1,001. But in truth, they might be like 1,100. So I found this little image very revealing of what it actually looks like. For every new connection you make, and specifically on LinkedIn, this is actually what it looks like. For every new connection, you're opening the door to more connections and more connections, but also the network is growing by itself, because every day people start something new, or they might have new needs. So you really need to get out. You might have already done so, but it's important that you get out from this thinking that you're going to be targeting a limited group of people and a limited percentage are going to convert, and that's about it. Because it's just not what it is, at least in my opinion. So let's move on to insight number 2. LinkedIn and the Sales Navigator are the ideal platforms for you to tap into your infinite audience. So I wanted to share the principle first, and now we're diving into the specifics. Because you might be wondering, okay, that sounds great, infinite audience, awesome, I want to do it. How do I do it? Well, I think this is how you should start. LinkedIn and Sales Navigator, which I call here as 2 separate platforms. Truly, they are the same platform. Okay, but that will become clearer later on in the training. And just so you know, once again, let's look at some actual numbers. As of today, in 2021, there are 722 million members in 200 countries and regions worldwide on LinkedIn. As you can see, you have more than 170 million members in the States, more than 160 million members in Europe, and even if you are in countries with a smaller population like Canada and Australia, there are still like millions of people that you can reach out on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is possibly the fastest growing B2B platform. Of course, you have social networks like, TikTok and Snapchat, and I'm kind of part of that generation, and I don't even know what's happening. Clubhouse, there's a whole lot of platforms, but the thing is, of course, there is potential on these platforms, but truly most businesses will struggle to really make sense of how to interact with people because you're sort of like trying to do business in between people dancing and people posting pictures of their cats. So, it's just not ideal. Whereas on LinkedIn, it's very much a B2B platform. And some business owners that I speak with still think that LinkedIn is just about people finding jobs or hiring people. It's a lot more than that. It definitely evolved from that kind of platform over the last 5 years, and you'll see it as we dive deeper. As of now on LinkedIn, just so you know, given that this is something else that I hear quite often, there are 148 industries. Unless you're targeting something very, very, very specific and niche, truly, I'm just going to scroll quickly, but if you do want to go to Lampod LinkedIn industries list, it's gonna pop up. As I was saying, unless you're targeting something like ultra specific, your ideal target audience is probably on LinkedIn. Okay, as you can see, there's just 148 industries. And so what I want to do in this second insight to really make it clear, I want to actually do a little live demonstrations so that, I'm actually going to pretend that you are first an accountant, and secondly a consultant or a coach, and thirdly a real estate agent or broker. And I'm actually going to show you how you get into the Sales Navigator and find out how many people are in your target audience, which, as I mentioned in the previous insight, is actually constantly growing. So, example number 1, you are an accountant and you want to target small business owners that started their company less than a year ago in the United Kingdom. And I forgot to mention, I'm always going to follow this formula. Okay, so I'm going to first say that you want to target a certain niche, and then I'm going to pick a specific area. So let's say that you are an accountant and you want to target small business owners that started their company less than a year ago in the United Kingdom. So this is how you do it. I just logged in my Sales Navigator, and what I will do is click up here, start with geography as a filter, okay, and then I will type in United Kingdom, okay, and then as I said, I'll possibly choose one or more industries to target, but just for the sake of this presentation, I'm not going to do that just yet. But then, as I said, you're looking for business owners. What you want to do is go to title and select owner. And of course, you might include co-owner as well. But once again, I want to move a bit quicker than usually here. And then pick years in current position, less than 1 year, and then years at current company. Okay, so now I run the search. And as you can see, very quickly, I can see that there are 3,500 people on LinkedIn matching this criteria. Okay. And once again, I always say, imagine if just 1% of this audience was to work with you, how would that change your business? Okay. Now let's move on to the next example. Let's say that you are a consultant or a coach and you wanted to target music professionals in Australia and New Zealand. That's how we will do it. The process is very much the same. So we can actually edit the search here, and we will target Australia, and we will target New Zealand. There we go. And then instead of using these filters that are not relevant right now, we will go to industry and choose music. Okay, so as you can see here, there are 46,000 people in the music industry in Australia and New Zealand on LinkedIn. Once again, of course, if we were to actually start a campaign, I want to refine it a bit more. Usually my rule of thumb is to narrow down the search to about 1,000 people, because remember, this list is going to grow every day. Okay, so even if you have 1,000 people, by the time you connect with all of these 1,000 people, you're going to have possibly another 1,000 to target. So it really never ends because it's infinite, as I was saying. Lastly, let's say that you are a real estate agent and you wanted to target professionals with 10 or more years of experience in Los Angeles. Okay, and I picked a town, a specific city, rather than a country, because I know that in real estate you might not want to work with people in, the whole country that you live in. You might want to narrow down the search to your town, but you can do that. You can be as specific as zip codes, just so you know. But that's once again the process. So we will pick, let's say, Los Angeles metropolitan area, and then we would actually open up all the filters again and look for years in current position. And you want to pick more than 10 years. And I'm just using this specific example because if you're in real estate, you usually, not always, but you might want to target people that are more likely to be able to afford to buy a house, right? Or they might want to sell a house. So that's the reason why I created this specific example. And as I can already see, there are almost, this is very big. We will definitely narrow this down, but there are almost 1 million people in Los Angeles that have worked in their existing job for more than 10 years. So once again, just think about the 1% that could potentially work with you over the next 12 months. How would that change your business? All right. So once again, I do want to remind you, these are just generalized examples. If you do want to specifically create a targeted search, let's do it together. Let's hop on a call after you watch this training, and I'll let you know how you can do that at the end of the call. So let's now dive into the third insight, which will actually reveal, specifically what the LinkedIn hybrid strategy looks like. This is a big one because to get the best results, you need to combine the human and the machine. Okay, and I know this might sound a little sci-fi, but you'll see why this is important. And this is really why this is called the LinkedIn hybrid strategy, because it uses some elements of technology and automation, but then it combines them with human elements. That really is what make the strategy work. So to make sense of it all, I actually need to take you through what I see as the three phases to generate quality leads. Okay. Phase number one is to grow your list on LinkedIn. The second phase is the initial interaction that's going to happen with your list on LinkedIn. And finally, you do want to offer a free solution. Don't make the mistake that I see a lot of businesses make, to try and pitch, 3 messages in. No, that's not a good idea. So the first solution that you offer should be free, and you'll see what I mean. Now, let's see how we actually combine automation with the human race, the human element here. So growing your list on LinkedIn should be automated. There's absolutely no reason why you should spend time or hire someone to click the connect button on LinkedIn. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, so that's the phase that we will want to automate. And to do that, we're actually going to use a tool that I'm going to show you just in a minute that to me is a game changer. It really stepped up. As you can see, it's the second version of this tool, and the first version was okay. It was good, but the second version is like, wow, it's a whole new level. Now, the initial interaction should be outsourced. Once again, you can do it yourself, but there's absolutely no reasons, or at least it's not a wise idea, to spend a lot of your time having these initial interactions with people on LinkedIn, because more often than not, they're going to be very similar. The first 2-3 questions and answers you're going to, discuss with someone are fairly predictable. So that means that you can hire a virtual assistant for a very small cost, okay, to do it for you. And then finally, the free solution can be either automated or outsourced. And there are usually 2 types of free solutions that I think most businesses should offer as they grow their list on LinkedIn. The first and the simplest one to offer is obviously a free consultation. Okay, so this is where you invite someone to have a conversation with you and you introduce them to what you do. It's quite straightforward. The second free solution that I think is going to allow you to grow and scale more efficiently is actually to record what will probably look like the first free consultation and make it into a webinar. Now, of course, that's a little bit more complex, but it's going to allow you to speak, quote unquote, to a lot more people 24/7. All right, so as promised, I'm going to share with you a live demonstration of how the strategy works phase by phase. Okay, so phase 1, Linked Helper 2. Let's have a look. So this is what Linked Helper 2 looks like, and it's just, as I said, I think really quite a game changer as they've introduced this second version of their tool. The first one was already pretty good. Now, just so you know, this is gonna cost you only $15 a month. Okay, that's 15. So super cheap. As I mentioned, this strategy is not completely free. I do not think you can really take anything or any strategy beyond a certain scale completely for free. and it's about finding that right balance, as you might have realized. That's kind of the goal here. So what does this tool do? Well, first of all, it's going to allow you to collect the targeted prospects that we've identified when we created our search. So you would go to Sales Navigator, save your search, and say, I only want to work with people in this area or these areas, and that have been in certain industries for this period of time, or companies that have a certain revenue or a certain number of employees, etc. And then you save that search so that every day or every week you can come into the you can come into Linked Helper and essentially choose to collect people from this specific search. So once you do that, they're gonna be added to your queue that you can see here is currently down to 0 because I've already collected 179 people that are ready for the next step. But essentially the first step is very simply for the tool to extract these profiles. So we can always see down here in the successful section, or however it's called, all the successful profiles that have been collected. And once again, and I've already said it, but these are not random connections. These are targeted prospects. Okay, they then get to be moved on to the next step, which usually is the invite second and third level contacts. So in case you're not familiar with LinkedIn, your first level contacts are people that you are connected with on LinkedIn, and these will be people that you'll be able to communicate with, i.e. send messages to. And then you have your second degree connections, who are people that are connected with people you're connected with. And then finally you have your third degree or third level contacts, which are outside of these networks. And you can actually send an invitation to connect to either people in your second level or third level contacts, although I do recommend targeting people in your second degree of connections, as it's usually easier for someone to connect with you when they see that you already have a connection in common. So what the tool will do for you is to send this message, okay, that of course you will craft once, to all the people that you're gonna request to connect with. And you don't have to add a message, but I do believe that you're actually gonna be more visible in their connection request if you do send a message. So I do recommend including one. And additionally, some people might actually already reply to this message, as you will have given them some idea around what you do and how you can help. And here we're not trying to pitch or sell or anything like that. We just want to connect. So it needs to be a normal, friendly message for them to then go ahead and accept your connection request. So then we move on to the third step, which is filter contacts out of my network and keep my first level only. And that is essentially where Linked Helper is gonna periodically check who has accepted your connection request, and at that point is gonna drop it down to the next step in the sequence. As I said, you can only message people that are connected with you, so our first level contacts. So it's important that you don't go ahead and start sending more messages to those you're not connected with. But of course, Linked Helper knows about this, so this is why we filter contacts. And then I like to actually introduce a little delay so that the system is gonna essentially wait a couple of hours before sending the next message, okay? And that I like to do that so that it doesn't look too automated. Of course, people are not stupid, they know that you might automate some messages, and that's fine as long as you don't overdo it. So I think a couple of hours wait, it's good. And then for those that have been, held up in the queue for a couple of hours, as you can see, I actually have one contact here right now. It's gonna get moved on to the final step in the sequence, which is where I'm gonna send them the first message as a new connection. So just to clarify, this message is something we send as we ask that person to connect with us. But then this message is the message we send once they've connected with us, and we're actually first degree connections. We're actually communicating freely via the Sales Navigator inbox. So I hope you can start to see the potential. As I said previously in the training, you don't have to do things exactly as I do them, but I do want to share with you the exact tools and strategies and methods that I use then for you to possibly adapt to your needs, to your business, and to your goals. But I honestly believe that this is a great tool that, as you can see in this current version, allowed me to extract more than 4,000 profiles from LinkedIn, and more than 700 of them accepted my connection request. So I expanded my network on LinkedIn by 700 people, and more than 500 actually communicated with me. So this is all happening automatically, and I think it's very important as you look at your business as a whole to not spend too much time doing every single to execute every single step, but to automate where possible. Now, I also want to share with you a very brief case study, because I realize that you might be wondering, okay, looks great, but does it actually work? I mean, this kind of technology, we're dealing with people. Well, what I want to share with you is actually the receipt for, the highest grossing sale I was able to make with one of the leads that came through from LinkedIn. And this gentleman ultimately signed up for a program I was selling for $9,000. He actually split up the payment into two payments of $4,500. We're just going to refer to him as Jay. But, I do have mixed feelings about sharing these kind of case studies, because I think that each business is different and your price points are different and what you sell is different. But the important thing is, once again, for you to grasp the potential behind the strategy to then find your own clients and, sort of make your own bucks with this specific strategy. But I do want to bring some real life case study to show you that this is not just theory. I've been executing it, and I've been helping other business owners do just the same. So let's move on to the next phase, just briefly, just to bring you back to the big picture. We've looked at how we can grow our list on LinkedIn automatically using Linked Helper 2. And then the second phase is the initial interaction, which is where I actually do not recommend you use a automated tool, because that doesn't really work. I tried, and I think it gets to a point where the person on the other side realizes that you're just sending templated messages, and as I said, you cannot overdo it. So what I do recommend to begin these conversations with, your future clients, is to actually hire someone and train them to do it for you. So I'm referring to a virtual assistant. So let me show you exactly what that looks like. So I use a platform called Upwork, which is a platform you might have heard of or you might have used yourself. I think it's a great platform to find, the right type of talent for different things. But specifically for this job, you can get someone for as little as, $5 to $10 an hour to take care of that initial interaction on your behalf. And the important thing, of course, is to train them correctly. And I've really refined the methods so that you will know exactly what to say, when to say it, and how to handle certain situations that might come up. And then, of course, if it comes to a point where they cannot handle it, the instruction is just let me know and I will jump in and continue the conversation. But here's the thing, when someone is actually getting to that point in the conversation, is actually a very good lead. Okay, so as you can see, I'm working with this very good virtual assistant called Giovanna. And, I provided her with the instructions to do the job, with the templates. And of course, we also check in on a daily basis. So we have our little chat here where, she keeps me informed with what's going on LinkedIn and whether I should actually jump in and have specific conversations with, people that are asking, difficult questions or anything that it's not in the manual, quote unquote. And then what we do We also keep track of everyone that gets added to my network through these spreadsheets that are actually automatically updated. I use a little automation tool to make sure that everyone that adds me on LinkedIn is also added to the spreadsheet. And essentially, put simply, I want to know whether that person has replied to the first message that I sent out, which I refer to as M1. And some people do and some people don't. But then what she does is to send the next message, which is a much more human message. Okay, so I taught her to make sure to look at the little nuances, details that she might find on their profiles, or maybe something they've said or a post they've shared, so that when she begins the initial interaction with them, it really comes across as a real human being. And then usually for my goal is to see whether that person wants more clients, and at that point we can invite them to having a conversation. And my next question is whether if they actually booked a call. So as you can see, when someone goes through this process, I can actually keep track of who's been messaged, and these are the people that ultimately booked the call, and we might be sending reminders, etc., etc. So as you can see, every single person that comes into my network is followed up properly, and she helps me with that, and you can replicate the very same system too. And finally, phase 3, as I mentioned previously, is to offer a free solution. You want to make sure you don't offer something paid to someone that just joined your network. And this free solution initially for most businesses is going to be either a free consultation or a webinar. So a free consultation is a simpler solution to offer. The webinar is a bit more complex, but it's more efficient, and of course it can be seen by a lot more people, and it works 24/7. So there are different pros and cons to these two solutions, and I recommend you begin by actually offering a free consultation, and then as the strategies start working out for you, you do want to start to consider potentially putting together a webinar that will require some more work as you put it together, but then once it's crafted and created, it's gonna really work potentially for years, and it's gonna keep on driving people to your business systematically. So I do want to share with you another few case studies just to really show you how these conversations ultimately go. Keep in mind, these are just snapshots of conversations, so they might not make total sense grammatically, but that is usually how ultimately I'm driving more and more people to have a conversation with me. And I'm also going to share a few case studies from other business owners I worked with and I booked calls for. So let's start with this one. Here you can see Teresa. She said, "Hello, Patrizio. Thank you for connecting. I would like to hear more about your services. Do you have any availability for a call today? Hey, Teresa, it's great to hear from you. Would you be available tomorrow, Friday? Blah, blah, blah." I'm going to move a bit quickly here, but the point is that she books a call with me. Let's move on to Michael. We were possibly already having a bit of a conversation, so these are the times I'm available. Okay, 8 on Tuesday works. Can we meet on Zoom? Sounds great. So that was another person I offered a free consultation to. Greg, I've asked him, are you accepting new clients at the moment? And he replied that yes, we are. If you can do that, Patrizio, you will have done what no one has been able to do for us ever before. So you have my attention. And replied, okay, great. Thank you for your interest. You can book a time on my calendar here. And he booked a meeting. Another one with Claire. Shall we go with 11 a.m. on Wednesday the 3rd? Sounds good. I just sent you an invite. Please RSVP. Ernest, this is, I think, the last one for me. Let's chat sometime next week, Thursday morning, about 11 a.m. Kind regards. Sounds good. I booked you on my calendar, and you should receive a confirmation at your email. Now, these are leads I was able to source for business owners I worked with. So just to show you that it doesn't just work with me. So Nazir is the name of my client, and this gentleman called Labanish was replying, "Hey Nazir, I hope you're well. Is there any update from something they had previously discussed in the chat?" And he replied, "Hey Labanish, yes, I have had a detailed conversation with blah blah blah. Can we talk next Wednesday at 4:30 p.m.? Thanks Nazir, Wednesday sounds good." Another one from a different client, I believe. So how does 4:30 p.m. on the 6th of January sounds to you? Sounds good, brilliant, blah blah. Once again, I want to move a bit quickly here, but you get the gist, hopefully. Hi Stacy, I came across your profile through a mutual connection and wonder if you're already working with an accountant to help you keep your finances in order. I'm a passionate accountant who's been helping businesses like yours for the past 5 years. And Nicole. So Nicole was a client of mine, and we crafted this message together to help her book more calls. And as you can see, this lady Stacy booked a call. Let's schedule a connection call next week. How is Tuesday or Thursday? And here they agreed to the call. Hi Mike, I came across your profile. As you can see, the initial message is always similar. I, Nicole, we're actually shopping our personal tax into small businesses tax and payroll. Are you a solopreneur or a CPA? Are you interested? Mike. And hello, Mike. I am a solopreneur, and yes, I am interested. Would you be available to get on a call tomorrow or to Tuesday afternoon sometimes? Do you have a CPA in your practice? Blah, blah, blah. We can set up a Zoom call. Two more, this is another client that I worked with. Thank you for connecting with me. We help business owners like you take their focus off their bookkeeping and accounting so that you can work more on your business development and growth. Would you be interested in outsourcing your bookkeeping and accounting? And Nathan replies, "Hey, I actually been looking for an accountant. I am interested. I can confirm receipt of your email. Rest assured, I can help you with that for sure. I already have 2 similar clients, so it's not a problem at all. Could we schedule a Zoom call and have a chat about your requirements? Does Tuesday at 11 a.m. sound good?" Tuesday 11 a.m. is perfect. Thank you. So once again, I hope this really helps paint in the picture. I did want to bring in some theory, some principles, a live demonstration, and also some case studies. Once again, you might not do things exactly as I do them, but I do believe that the potential is there for you and your business to leverage LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, Linked Helper, virtual assistants, and really this overall approach to start bringing in more clients. So before I share with you, as promised, how you'll be able to book a call with me if you do want to discuss specifically how we could craft a strategy that works for your business, let's do a little recap, because I do realize that I shared a lot of information with you today. So starting from insight number 1, very important to realize this, and it's that most business owners are stuck in an old paradigm where they believe that there is a limited number of people they can do business with. In truth, your business is not and should not be limited to your location, your existing network, or your existing client base. I'm proposing that your business should adopt a new paradigm and systematically tap into a much bigger audience, so much bigger that I like to refer to it as your infinite audience. Insight number 2 is that LinkedIn and the Sales Navigator are the ideal platforms to tap into your infinite audience. LinkedIn plus Sales Navigator is going to allow you to tap into more than 722 million members worldwide and growing, 148 industries, and it's without doubt the best B2B platform for you to leverage right now. Finally, insight number 3. To get the best results, you need to combine human plus the machine. So we looked at, the 3 stages to generate quality leads are: number 1, grow your list on LinkedIn. Do that automatically using Linked Helper 2, and then outsource the initial interaction to a virtual assistant that you'll be able to train to replicate the initial conversation that you're very likely to have with a lot of these new connections. And then finally, number 3, do offer a free solution to take the relationship to the next level. This can be either automated or outsourced, and what I do recommend is to start with the simpler solution, which is just to offer a free consultation. So invite someone to book a call with you and have a conversation and onboard them into your business if they look like a fit. And then as the strategy works and you get some results and you want to actually scale and reach more people more systematically, I do recommend thinking about putting together a webinar so that you'll be able to essentially, quote unquote, speak to a lot more people. All right, so right now you might be feeling like this. I know I've shared a lot of information, but as I promised at the beginning of the webinar, I really wanted to give you a lot of value and help you see a strategy or truly a combination of strategies that could really help you take your business to the next level and get more clients. So if you're still watching this webinar at this point, it means that you're probably wondering how the LinkedIn hybrid strategy could be applied to your business. And if that's the case, I would like to offer you the opportunity to get on a phone or Zoom call with me. We'll get on a call for 30 to 45 minutes and discuss, number 1, how to tap into your infinite audience on LinkedIn. Number 2, what communication would work best for your business and for your audience. And number 3, how to leverage technology and outsource talent to optimize and scale. So if you do want to book a call, go ahead and go to linkedmarketing.ninja/call. And if you're not quite sure whether you want to get on a call with me, I do want to assess some of the concerns that I see coming up time and time again. As I mentioned, I've been speaking to a lot of business owners, so I just want to assess some of these main concerns that I usually come across. So number 1, I know that you might be thinking that you probably can't afford it. Okay, and I want to share with you that I completely understand that as you're thinking about growing your business and stepping into a new platform, strategy, possibly even a new audience, you might be concerned about the investment involved. But I do want to reassure you that I completely understand it, and in fact, I've crafted a number of solutions, and some of which are very, very affordable. So regardless of what you think you can afford it, I would encourage you to go ahead and book a call, and we can always have a conversation. And hey, if it's really not the right time for you to get started, that's totally fine. What matters to me is that you do have a new set of ideas and strategies that you can start thinking about and potentially implement in the future. Now, if you're thinking that you probably won't have time, I also want to reassure you that this is exactly the reason why I've put in so much work into this training and into everything I do, because truly you need clients. That's the priority. Every business needs more clients, qualified clients, and clients that are actually going to help you grow. So attracting clients, it's always going to take you time. And the question is, how do you do that in the most strategic and efficient way so that it will actually gonna save you time rather than using more of your time? If you're thinking that it might be too complex for you, once again, it's very much along the lines of what I just said concerning not having time. The reason why I put in so much work into this training and everything I do is really to try and reduce the complexity involved. And I will be able to actually help you reduce, as I said, how complex these strategies will be, how much time they're going to take you, and really help you find a more streamlined way to bring more clients into your business. If you're already doing something else, which is totally legitimate, I would like to offer you that truly this strategy can be combined and in fact improve a lot of other strategies that you might be implementing. And that is because LinkedIn is a platform that really allows you not just to find a lot of people, but also get a lot of data around these people. You know, where do they work, how long they worked for, and a lot of information that will actually help your other strategies improve. So if you're already doing something else, you know, we might discuss more about how this strategy can actually be integrated and added onto what you are already doing. And finally, if you're thinking, well, I've always relied on referrals, cold calling, cold emails, door knocking, why should I change? And to that, I want to remind you of what I shared with you with the Gary Vee's clip that I played at the beginning of the training, where he said that as business people, we need to wrap our head around one very big truth. The day of advertising stealing somebody's time is over. And once again, he said this back in 2016. So if you're still relying on these quote-unquote old school strategies like door knocking and cold calling, they might still work, but they're becoming less and less efficient because the way people look for information and the platforms where people are devoting their attention and ultimately the way people are making decisions is changing, and in fact is changing even faster because of COVID. Okay, so this is why this conversation might just be one of the most valuable business conversations you're gonna have this year. So go ahead and book your call at linkmarketing.ninja/call, or if you're watching this video on my website, you can also follow the button right below this video. I look forward to speaking with you very soon, and I do hope that you've enjoyed the training today. Thank you.